Are strikes. Watch out for Howard and Ibanez. Both have a home run. Howard with 2, and they're hitting over 350.
Shane Victorino will lead things off. Victorino involved in that phantom obstruction play the last time the Mets and Phils got together, which drew a lot of people's ire. Victorino's been hot of late, raising his average to 295, and Santana starts it with a fastball, and Victorino fouls it off, and we are underway at Citi Field.
Well, they're ready to play. Victorino, first ball, fastball, and Santana reared back and fired, and Victorino had a vicious cut.
Victorino just 1 for 15 against Santana, and he swings at the second one as well and pops one up for David Wright. 2 pitches, and Santana has the first out of the night.
And the Lexus Metzi defense, Ryan Church, of course, he's going to be a big part. And you can see the errors made behind Santana. A lot of those were made early in his starts, his first 5 or 6 starts. They played better behind him of late.
Jose Reyes in the building tonight. We were asking him before the game whether he had any kind of timetable on when he might be able to return, and he has none. It is strictly a field proposition. He's not doing anything but taking treatment right now. Chase Utley hitting number 2. And Utley takes a strike. Talking to Reyes about what he felt when he suffered his latest setback in Florida. He said, when I was running to first base, it felt like an electric shock in my leg. A lot worse, he said, than what happened to him in Los Angeles. 1-1 to Utley, who's hitting 296 on the year. Well, that's what the Mets have done since Reyes went out. They've held their own, going 11-8, but most of that against teams with records below 500. Now all of a sudden they're facing the iron. One to Utley, and a sky-high pop-up on the right side. Tatis and Castillo takes charge, grabs it in fair territory for the second out. 2 batters, 2 pop-ups, and Utley retired.
Well, Gary, the one good thing about the schedule, if you're a Met fan, is that the Phillies have pretty much a mirror schedule as the Mets. They'll be playing the AL East. Mets have the Phillies will have 4 with Pittsburgh. The Mets get their break with Baltimore, but you can't take any of these teams for granted.
Now Jason Worth hitting number 3 in the order. Worth hitting at 256, 8 home runs. The Phillies have hit 78 home runs this year. The Mets, by contrast, have hit 34. Now, part of that obviously is the ballparks they play in, but part of it as well is the fact that the Phillies have a power-laden lineup.
And don't forget, the Mets are not hitting home runs on the road either. So,
however, if you want to look at it this way, the Phillies have hit 78 and given up 81 home runs, the most in the league. The Mets have hit 34 and given up 40. 1-1 to Worth, and that's popped up. And Alex Cora settling under it. 3 batters, 3 pop-ups for Santana, and a 1-2-3 opening inning. 8 pitchers for Santana. Mets will go to work against Happ with no score. Go Mets starting lineup for tonight. Luis Castillo slides into the leadoff spot against the left-hander. Alex Cora hits second. Ryan Church, as promised, gets the start against the left-hander. Fernando Tatis at first base. As Gary Sheffield, who sat out 2 of the 3 over the weekend, in there against the young left-hander Jay Happ.
Well, Jay Happ has been outstanding. He has been, as advertised this season, outstanding in his starts. He was great out of the bullpen earlier in the season. He's been an outstanding 5th starter for them.
Luis Castillo leads things off. Castillo just 3 for 19 on the just completed road trip. Mets went 2 and 4 on the rain-shortened trip. Castillo takes a fastball for a strike, 1-1.
Well, I think the Mets caught a break with the rain out in Pittsburgh. Their depleted forces, and it allowed Santana, who would have pitched the last game in Washington, to pitch the opener here against the Phillies.
2-1 to Castillo. The Phillies have been getting outstanding starting pitching since Brett Myers succumbed to surgery. In 10 games since then, their starters are 8-0 with a 2.66 ERA. Earlier in the season, starting pitching was a big concern, but not right now for the Phillies.
You know, we talked about it in the opening. That's really what Jerry Manuel would like to see from his own staff. Some of that consistency that the starters for the Phillies have given them the last 10 games. Just almost a 180-degree turnaround.
In there for a call, strike 3, and Castillo, the second toughest hitter to fan in the National League, goes down looking to start the bottom of the 1st.
Looks like he got caught looking, Ronnie.
That's what they say about Jay Happ, is that he has a fastball that he doesn't throw that hard, but it sneaks up on it. That ball caught plenty of the plate right on the knees, and Louis knew it.
And the Phillies defense, as you can see, Howard at first base, they've made, 18 errors. That's the fewest in baseball. Defense is so important. Victorino, of course, out there in center field, the Gold Glove.
Alex Cora takes high. The Phillies have allowed only 8 unearned runs this year. Cora hitting at .297. Whereas the Phillies are paying tribute to the late Harry Kalas. They're wearing a patch on their jerseys to pay tribute to the longtime broadcaster, and also his powder blue jacket hanging in their dugout, as it has been since Harry's death.
Well, we'll miss Harry. And, you know, we go in and out of town. There you see Harry, the voice of the Phillies. You go in and out of town every year, year in, year out. You say goodbye, and you look forward to see him again. And it's tragic.
Harry just beloved not only by the fans, but he was one of those announcers that was beloved by the teams, because he just had, like a little bit like Vince Scully, just has such a sense of royalty amongst his peers.
Cora pokes one to shortstop, right at Rollins, and the overhand toss for the second out. Well, not only that, but Harry was so beloved among his peers because he always took time out to welcome the younger broadcasters into the fold. He was relentlessly positive, and he was a special guy. There's just no mistaking that. And he is and will be missed. There's Carlos Beltran hitting a .342, and it takes high from Happ. Beltran just 1 for his last 12, the first little stumble he's had in many, many weeks. But he did have a double his last time up on Sunday.
Well, it's funny, after that illness, food poisoning, he came out of the chute hot, didn't he, against Pittsburgh, and then kind of cooled down once he got to Washington.
Well, you can't stay hot forever. I mean, only Ted Williams could hit .370 for 162.
And I think that's a cautionary note for the Mets, because here's Beltran, who's hit over 300 once in his career, and you don't expect him to hit .340, .350 all season. Hits this off the end of the bat to left center, and Victorino, the Gold Glover, moving over, and that retires the side. So each pitcher goes 1, 2, 3 through the opening inning. We head for the second with Ryan Howard to lead off. No score.
pitching coach goes out to the mound. But in between innings, they will work. You see he's working with Happ there. Happ says he's flying open. Rich Doobie says stand tall and get that breaking pitch out in front. Get it out in front. That's where it'll break. So nice work there by Rich Doobie.
And unusual to have a pitching coach providing counsel after a 1-2-3 inning?
Yeah, I find it interesting, but that is the way that they do it today. They do a lot of coaching in between innings.
Ryan Howard leads off the second inning. Howard 17 home runs, 47 driven in. 2 career home runs against Santana, and he takes a fastball for a strike.
Well, both pitchers coming out, throwing fastball, establishing the fastballs, Ronnie.
No fear from Mr. Santana as he just, with that stance on the mound, that wide stance, it's almost like he dares you to knock the battery off his shoulder.
Well, I just think Santana thrives in this kind of setting here, in the big stage of New York, full house, big game.
Raul Ibanez on deck, then Jimmy Rollins here in the second. And Howard weaving at the changeup, and it's 1-2.
Well, we've seen Santana now. He threw a slider before this changeup. He has the ability to throw that changeup away and down from left-handers. Very unusual.
1-2, and that misses. 2-2.
Now, why do I say that? Most left-handers, when they throw the changeup, it always kind of goes down and away from a righty, down and into a lefty. He has the ability to make the ball go away.
Howard down on the fastball. Santana has his first strikeout. 1 out of the second.
Well, it's just outstanding to watch Santana. Okay, pumps in a first pitch, fastball for a strike. Up, then a little slider just to show him. Back to the changeup down. Again, another change to see if he's going to go fish. And then that fastball upstairs. And I have to be corrected there, I believe. Those were sliders,
yes,
not changeups. I made a mistake. Sorry.
Both were sliders, yes.
A little tighter slider than the first one he threw.
It is. Usually he has more of a slurve to it, kind of a get-me-over pitch, but he's tightened it up. He just wants a pitch working away and down from Howard.
Well, here's Raul Ibanez, the free agent signing of the year so far. There were a lot of questions when the Phillies gave him a 3-year deal at age 37, but at least for the first third of those 3 years, he has been spectacular.
Oh, he is a professional hitter, and I talked with my good buddy Gary Matthews and said, just watch Ibanez take BP. He never tries to hit a home run. He works the whole field.
Fastball has him chasing, and Santana with back-to-back strikeouts of the 2 big left-handed bats of Howard and Ibanez.
Well, these left-handed hitters for the Phillies like the ball down in the strike zone. One of the keys to pitching to them is that nice four-seamer up in the strike zone that you can get some strikeouts with. And Ibanez and Howard both fishing and shaking their head.
Speaking of shaking your head, here's a guy who has made the Phillies shake their heads this year. The former MVP Jimmy Rollins having a dreadful season so far. He bounces one foul. 222 batting average, 261 on base percentage for the guy who was supposed to be their leadoff hitter, but at this point Charlie Manuel's so exasperated that he sat Rollins on Saturday, and now the last 2 games hitting him 6th.
Well, he's never been a guy, even when he had the big year, the MVP year, he doesn't walk. He's only got 12 walks this season, so for him to have a good on-base percentage, he has to hit.
Pops one up. Easy play for Cora, retreating. And the side retired. Santana threw just 10 pitches that inning. 6 up, 6 down for Johan. Still no score. Movies Wednesday, June 17th. On the larger-than-life screen at the Ziegfeld Theater in Midtown Manhattan. Join Mr. Met and fellow Met fans for SNY's live broadcast when the Mets face the Orioles at 7:05. Get your tickets at Mets.com/movies today. Gary Sheffield leads off the home second. It's been a rough stretch for Sheffield, who's been playing with a problem in a tendon behind his knee. And it appears now to be affecting Gary at the plate.
Kind of a similar thing to what Reyes has, but the one thing about Gary is that he's one of those hitters that uses his whole body, uses his legs.
Well, they don't want to confuse the donuts that are in the on-deck circle. Those are the wetted donuts. That's not really a donut.
What would happen if the home team used the visiting team's donut?
It's war. War, of course, you know it means war.
Feel like slipping a Krispy Kreme into the Dunkin' Donuts.
Hail Fredonia.
Can't be having that.
Do not touch the donut.
There's the donuts.
2-1 to Sheffield. And Gary takes out of the strike zone 3-1.
Keith, take me through your pre-hit routine. You were in the on-deck circle. I remember you used to always drop the one knee. Right. What would you use, like the regular donut to swing, or let it bat, or?
I use the donut. Yeah. Everything else is too heavy.
Sheffield pulls one on the ground. Phillies playing right behind the bag. And that's the first out.
And you can see Gary running to first base there, that he is a little bit tender. And it's his right leg. It's the leg that he drives, or back leg that he hits. It's the one he drives off of. And you can see he's hurting.
Well, Jerry sat him 2 of the 3 games in Washington over the weekend, plus the off day yesterday. So he's had a lot of rest. And the question is, how much life is left in those legs now at age 40. The Mets need him so badly right now.
Well, they get a break in the interleague play because he can DH. That will help.
Here's David Wright, who's now second in the National League in batting. He had a fine finish to his road trip. The last 4 games, David went 9 for 13 with 5 walks. So he was on base 14 of his last 18 plate appearances. The flip side, though, David has now gone 100 at-bats without a home run.
It has been a struggle, power struggle for him. That is for sure. And this is a good matchup because Hap keeps the ball down. David, we know, likes that ball downstairs.
You know what's interesting watching David as he's changed, I think his swing has changed a little bit, is that when I first saw him play, I thought of him as a very consistent hitter. Day in and day out, he produced. Now what he does, he'll have some periods where he doesn't really get on top of the baseball, and then he'll have some stretches where, like you said, he'll go 9 for 13.
It's this one in the air to deep left field. Back goes Ibanez, looking up at the wall, and it's out of here! David Wright breaks that 100 at-bat home run drought with his 4th of the year, and he gives the Mets a 1-0 lead.
Well, in a game like this, that might be all it takes with the 2 pitchers out there. And it looked like Hap wanted to come inside and just didn't have anything on that pitch. You see,
well, maybe it's something about Phillies left-handers. David's last home run came against Jamie Moyer on May 7th. 2-0 to Tatis.
But also David just killing left-handed pitching this season. 421 coming into the game. That'll rise after that home run.
So more than a month without a long ball, and David snaps that string over the 16-foot-high fence in left field. 2-0 to Tatis, and Hap misses low and away.
Well, here he wants to come in. And he got it in, and not in enough, but it also what's more impressive is that ball's a little above the belt. That's a pitch that David's been having trouble with.
Tatis takes a strike, 3-1.
Well, you look at the catcher, Ruiz. He wants that ball upstairs. Almost hits the spot, even above that spot, but it's more middle, right, Keith?
Look at the difference right there. That's all it takes. that 2 inches of getting in a hitter's hands as opposed to getting on the barrel of the bat.
Uriah pitch differential, and Tatis with a big hack on 3-1.
Well, the Mets would sure love to get Tatis on track. It has been a struggle for him. He was so good last year.
He swings a little big there, isn't it, Keith, than the normal stroke we see from Fernando?
Yep.
3-2 from Happ. Fouled away. Well, the Mets had hit just 8 home runs in their last 22 games before tonight. How much of a drought has that been? Well, there are 5 big league players, including 2 Phillies, who individually had hit more home runs over that span of time than the Mets had as a team.
That's going to be Howard and Ibanez.
Upstairs, ball 4, and Tatis is onto the wall. So Happ, after the home run by Wright, walks the following hitter, and you see that happen so often.
Especially with a young pitcher. What happens is that whether you like it or not, when you give up a home run, there's a little bit, you get rattled just enough, and then when you have to come in with a strike, you're a little tentative, and that ends up resulting in the walk.
So now Ryan Church, who's become a very, very important player in this lineup. Church returned from the disabled list on Sunday, had a single and a double in 5 trips, and in there tonight against the lefty Happ.
Well, he's important to the team because of that excellent defense. They expect him to hit more than he's hit so far this season, especially for power. And thirdly, they have 3 left-handers going for Philadelphia, and he's got to prove to manager Jerry Manuel that he can be effective against the left-handed pitching.
Jerry's got to massage that outfield right now. With Sheffield ailing, and with the 2 left-handed bats of Church and Fernando Martinez, he's going to try and figure out on any given day what his best combination is for those 2 corner spots.
I wouldn't be surprised if Jerry Manuel hits and runs this series to try to make things happen for his challenged offense.
2-0 to Church. And that's high, so Happ, after walking Tatis, now behind 3-0 on Church. Well, with David's home run, the Mets are still 3rd from the bottom of the major leagues in home runs. And they've hit more home runs at Citi Field than they've hit on the road, so it's not about the ballpark. There's a strike, 3-1. Daniel Murphy's sitting tonight, but Jerry said he will get a start at least one of the next 2 days against the left-handers.
I know what his choice would be.
Yeah. Thursday. Moyer goes, not Hamels. 3-1 is outside, ball 4. So after the home run, back-to-back walks to Tatis and Church.
And now we'll get a visit from pitching coach Rick Doobie.
Now the Mets have the 8 and 9 hitters coming up. Well, the Mets have been very successful here at home and have hit for a high average, which figures because you're in a ballpark where there's a lot of space in the outfield. But they've also hit more home runs and averaged more runs per game, marginally, than they have on the road.
Well, everything computes. Not surprised, except the more home runs at home. That doesn't figure.
It's still a small sample.
It's a small sample, but the sample shows you one thing. 4 runs and change is not enough if you want to go on a roll, or your starting pitching is just going to have to be fantastic. And I think that's what Jerry needs them to be.
Well, it's what happens when you take your leading home run hitter out of there. I mean, the Mets lost Delgado, and they became a very different kind of a team. Now Santos, who's hitting at .261, has cooled a bit. But he has done a very good job in RBI situations. 18 runs batted in and only 92 at bats.
Interesting, we showed you Happ talking to pitcher coach Rich Doobie in between innings after a perfect 1-2-3 inning. Sometimes better to be left unsaid. The young man worked through it.
And Santos takes away, and now Happ again behind 2-0.
Ronnie, as a young pitcher, when you were young and you came up and you were unsure of yourself, when you were matched up against a great pitcher, did you feel the pressure like you had to match his zeros?
You did, and that's something you have to fight, because that's you're getting ahead of yourself. Instead of concentrating on the hitter at hand, you're saying, boy, this is what I have to do.
Letter high strike, 2-1.
You know what I mean by that? Like, you can't go into a game and say, you know what, my performance has to be 8 strong innings, only 1 or 2 runs given up, and if I do that, we have a chance to win. You can't think like that. You have to think of performance at the time against the hitter, in the moment.
Santos pops it up. Infield fly rule will be called. Batter is out. And Utley's got it, 2 away.
It looked like a changeup right there, and if I am correct, he might be tipping his changeup. I kind of sensed something different from his delivery, and it is a changeup.
He's just slowing his motion down. You're right, Keith.
I think he gave away his changeup. The whole key to a changeup is, and there's a good guy with a great changeup right there, is you have to have the same delivery home. You cannot slow down your arm or speed up your arm or change the point of release. It all has to be the same.
Now Santana breaks his bat and grounds 1 foul. Now, who would be the guy down there to notice that, and how would that discussion filter through the team?
Well, I think that the person that is going to detect that would be a guy like Sandy Alomar, your manager Jerry Manuel, all the old-time lifers, the guys that have been in the game for a long time. That was something that was so prevalent 20, 30, 40 years ago, that you had a coach who just concentrated on the pitcher and tried to get his pitches. And if he did, of course, relay it to his hitters.
That was Vern Hochscheid for us in the 80s, running our bullpen coach, old Vern.
But shouldn't that be a focus for any team? I mean, it's such an enormous advantage if you are able to get a pitcher's pitches.
The one thing that's bad here is in the dugouts, we talked about at last homestand, I believe. They're not close to home plate. You have no angle. You've almost got a right angle. You're halfway, you're 3/4 of the way up both lines, the dugouts. Even if you get down towards the end where the cameras are, as close as you can to home plate, in the dugout, you don't, look at that, you don't have a view. You don't have a view of the pitcher, whereas opposed to where the on-deck circle is, you got a great angle.
1-2 to Santana, and Happ gets him with a high fastball to end the inning. But the Mets break on top as David Wright breaks out of his home run slump. For the first time in more than a month, David Wright goes deep. His 4th of the year has given Santana and the Mets a 1-0 lead. A Subway Series game at Citi Field and 4 more games of your choice with the Mets Citi Field Subway Series pack. Call 718-507-TIXX or log on to Mets.com to get your Subway Series pack now.
Well, again, you see Jay Happ and Rich Doobie going over things. And, you know, in today's game, there's a lot of kind of coddling is the wrong word, but in between innings, there's a lot of talk about mechanics. There's a lot of talk of your arm's not in the right place. You got to get it around in front of you. Things that I personally would not like to do during the game.
Pedro Feliz having a good year with the bat, hitting a .306.
I'd like to, during the game, compete. And if I have mechanical problems, I'll kind of figure it out. And we need to really work on them. We'll work on them on my second day in the bullpen.
But was that true even when you were a newish kind of pitcher? Feliz drives one to deep left center field. Back goes Sheffield near the wall, and it's off the base of the fence. Feliz to second in standing with a leadoff double. And the Phillies have their first hit off Santana. 15th double of the year for Feliz.
Well, let's see the pitch. Looked like right down the pipe, a fastball, Ronnie, and hit it in that 384. Sheffield plays it off the wall.
Well, it's interesting. He fooled him with the speed of the pitch, but because it was center of the plate, Feliz was just able to hit that ball out in front, strong enough to hit that over Gary's head.
As long as you keep your hands back, and you can get fooled on a changeup, you keep your hands back and you have good balance, you can let go with one hand, and you'd be surprised how much pop you have with the bat with one hand.
Now Carlos Ruiz, who has had a very good year at the plate, hitting a .309, and he pops one up into shallow left center. Cora out, Sheffield and Beltran, and Sheffield the man to get there for the first out.
Well, I know, Gary, that up here it looks easy, but in a game like this, if you're an offensive team, when you've got the best pitcher in the National League, you've got to do the little things. You get a leadoff double. I don't care if it's Happ up next, the pitcher. You've got to at least advance the runner. You've got to do the little things against the good pitchers and chip away.
Well, that's a really good point, Keith, because that no intent with that swing to hit the ball the other way. Just trying to hit a home run was Ruiz.
Now Happ, who's never had a hit in his big league career, 0 for 7 this year, 0 for 15 lifetime. That's play for the bunt, but it's not a bunting situation with a runner at second and one out.
Not a bad swing right there from Happ.
Do you understand why the corners came in the way they did?
No, they need to play back. He is not going to be bunting here. You're going to take a couple of shots at him maybe getting his first hit of the season, particularly first base. My goodness.
Now they've moved back, but both Tatis and Wright were well in on the grass on that first pitch. I think that was just a miscommunication.
I'm not so sure, Gary, because Tatis was playing basically halfway on that second pitch. They should move back now with 2 strikes. I mean, Tatis is in nowhere's land. You got to get back. Even further, cover ground. I think he's more worried about getting to first base on a ground ball.
Now Santana ahead 0-2 on this opposite number. And Happ takes a fastball that missed somewhere, I guess. Lance Barksdale said it was a ball.
I think this pitch was a strike. The problem, watch Santos, guys. He catches the ball in the strike zone, and see how he gets up real quickly? What you want to do as the catcher, you want to frame that and hold that pitch there. Even if he doesn't call it a strike, you're telling the umpire, I need the next one, because that was a strike right there.
Over the mound, Cora has to move in to get it. Happ running hard, out by a stride, 2 away.
Well, there you go. It would have been over and in right there in a 1-1 ball game. The little things. Now, getting back to framing, Gare, if you see Ronnie, Cora, that's a routine play for Cora. Nice hustle by Happ. Right on the outside corner, knee high. Gary Carter was a great framer.
Yeah.
And when the umpire missed a call, I remember Gary would just hold that glove there for that extra couple seconds.
That's right.
And just let him know you didn't have to say a word.
And then he'd get up and fire the ball back to the pitcher, about 100 miles an hour.
So now Victorino, who popped up to right his first time up, and Santana will work the full windup. Cora making that play on the last ground ball. You see that wrap that he's wearing on his thumb. And he said it doesn't bother him much to throw, but you can't imagine that it's not some kind of impediment getting that thumb under the ball.
Got a chance to play every day. You'll do whatever it takes. And here's the play right here. We'll watch the exchange.
2 hands, Keith.
Yep, we love that. Piece of cake, even with tape on the thumb.
Victorino takes a fastball for a strike. Santana popping that inside. It's 1-2. Phillies have the leadoff double. He's at third with 2 out. Old foul. Still 1-2.
Very interesting sequence. Let him off with a changeup, and then came back with for strike. Came back with 2 fastballs in, Santos called for another fastball, and he shook him off and threw him the changeup.
Pulled foul again. And some quick evasive action by Sam Palazzo, the third base coach.
There goes Santos with the signs. Another changeup. 3 in a row.
Popped up. And Cora right there waiting for it. Santana works around the leadoff double by Phillies to keep the Mets in the lead. 1-0 as we go to the bottom of the third.
The strength of David Wright's home run. Mets on top of the Phillies. I'm sitting here next to the general manager of the Brooklyn Cyclones, is Steve Cohen, and had the pleasure of doing some of those games the last couple of years. Steve, MLB draft is today. How do you take a lot of those guys that will be drafted, and they're going to be a Cyclone? So what's the process of taking those guys and kind of turning them into pro players?
Yeah, I mean, it's the toughest part for us is really getting the guys basically a couple of days before the season starts. So the first week or two is really it's a big learning process, and it's not easy for the coaches and managers, but I think it usually takes them 2-3 weeks to get into get to know the guys and see where they fit in, and get them groomed to one day play here at Citi Field.
Well, the nice thing is that a lot of the players that are drafted, Met fans can go to Brooklyn and see them, which is a nice thing as Castillo takes strike 2. What do you find is the biggest challenge for them as far as getting into pro ball? Now, you talk about, of course, how quickly, as far as the timetable, but how about adjusting to pro ball itself?
Well, I think there's a couple of things. One thing is a lot of them are coming from where they're playing in front of a couple of hundred people into Brooklyn, New York, and playing in front of 7,000, 8,000, 9,000 people. And then it's also the season. They play 70, 80 games in college, maybe even more if they're in the College World Series. Then they got a full season to play with us. Plus, they have to adjust usually to the wooden bat situation. So there's a few things that they have to deal with.
Well, I know you'll be biased, but I can talk about it because I've been there and I think the place is great. What's your favorite thing about the ballpark?
Well, I think the fans really are what I love. They come in, they're so enthusiastic. Every day, when the new fans come up the stairs and look at the ballpark, you can just see the look in their eyes. Wow, this is the greatest thing. And you get a lot of that 3-generational, father-son, grandfather type situation coming in, and just really appreciating the Brooklyn baseball spirit.
Well, Steve, we look forward to it. Again, we'll have a couple of games on SNY as we do every year. Look forward to that. And the season over June 19th, right?
That's right. We open up June 19th. People can get tickets now at brooklyncyclones.com. And we have a lot of great games and promotions this summer.
All right, Steve, look forward to it. Guys, let's go back up to you.
All right, Kevin, as Castillo lines one right to Utley for the first out of the inning. Of course, the Major League Baseball draft is underway tonight. The Mets don't pick until 74th. They lost their first-round pick for signing Francisco Rodriguez. But as expected, the Nationals have drafted the San Diego State phenom Steven Strasburg with the #1 pick.
A guy who throws 100 miles an hour plus. Last year they drafted a young pitcher named Crow who's now playing in the independent leagues. They couldn't sign him. It'll be interesting if they'll be able to sign Strasburg, who is asking for the moon.
There'll be so much pressure on them. And on Strasburg, who probably has as much attention for a player coming out of the draft as anybody has had in years.
Yep. David Clyde is one of those guys way back. Anybody got a cool $50 million?
Well, it's honestly, it's a guy that the Nationals, they even talked about maybe being down the minor leagues for a couple weeks and bringing him and putting him right in the rotation.
But if you're going to do that, you got to sign him quick.
Yes.
And there's every indication that Scott Boras, who has a history with these things, will let this drag through the summer and not back down. And it's hard to believe that the Nationals will hand him the $50 million he's asking for on day one.
You know, to tie that into Mr. Strasburg, Steve Cohen talking about the Brooklyn Cyclones. I think the biggest thing for a young man when you get signed, usually when you go to A-ball, it's a smaller town, smaller kind of atmosphere. You're thrown right into Brooklyn, one of the biggest boroughs, of course, anywhere in the world. And that's got to be an adjustment.
By the way, the second pick in the draft today was Dustin Ackley, who goes to Seattle as Cora drives one deep right field down toward the corner. Worth can't get there, and it hops over the wall, or off the wall they say, and into second base goes Cora.
Well, 2-2 count, tried to come in. Let me tell you, it was in. Alex just turned on it. Nice hitting. And you see it hit the top of the wall, over that orange stripe.
Thought at first that fan had reached out to touch it, but he missed it.
It almost like it looked like it bounced off the fan, but no, it bounced off the orange stripe. And luckily, another fan who can't catch, so the ball stayed in play.
So Cora has his 6th double of the year, and here's Beltran, and he hits one in the air, deep left field. That goes to Banez, back to the wall, and it's out of here. Carlos Beltran with a 2-run homer, and it's 3-0 New York. Number 8 for Beltran. The two guys who've been asked to carry this batting order, Wright and Beltran, have gone deep in the first 3 innings tonight.
Well, Carlos, a high ball hitter from both sides of the plate. More of a pull hitter from the right side of the plate. Got a hanging curveball right there on a tee up. And here's the pitch, and you can see not much of a break, and he just very smoothly put the barrel of the bat. I think what they call it, squaring it up.
Now Beltran has now hit 8 home runs this year, and he's now hit 4 of them from the right side of the plate, even though he has far more at bats left-handed. Two 2-0 to Sheffield, and he takes a strike.
Well, you can see right there, full extension of the arms, which means the pitch is over the middle. No rushing of the swing. You can see, always hit the pitch. You can see it right down the pipe. That tells all right there. Big boo-boo.
And what's so interesting about Beltran this year, from the left side, he's become so much more of an opposite field hitter, but from the right side, he's still predominantly a pull hitter.
And that's why he hit 350, or around 350 so far this season, using the whole field.
Too high, ball 4, so just as he did after the right home run, Happ walks the next batter.
Well, the reaction from the pitcher usually tells all. Happ takes a little peek, but really didn't have to look, because he knew that was a home run right off the bat.
And it's called rubbing up a new one.
Rub up a new one, college man.
If we were in Citizens Bank Park, he wouldn't have even looked.
Yeah, you're right about that.
Absolutely right.
I will tell you, in the beginning of my career, I literally would get my neck jolted back from trying to stare at the home runs I was giving up. And after about my second or third year, I promised myself I would not look anymore. So anytime I give a home run, I just looked at the catcher. Once the catcher put his head down, you knew it was gone.
And you were too cool for school.
Here's David Wright, who homered his first time up tonight after a long drought.
Well, this was a pitch upstairs that David got the barrel through.
Well, all the talk about home run disparity between the Mets and the Phillies coming into this game, and the Mets have homered twice. Pulled over the bag and down the line, a fair ball. It hits the tarp. Sheffield to third, and Wright hustles into second base. His second extra base hit of the night. His 17th double of the year.
That was a changeup out in front, and it is fair. Good call by third base umpire Dan Iasonia.
Very interesting little changeup away, and we've seen that when Jamie Moyer pitches for this team, they move Phillies right on the line. They didn't have him on the line for half there against Wright, and it cost them the double, the hustle by Gary Sheffield.
This ballpark plays a little bit like Fenway, not quite the same, but on those balls hit right over the bag, you've got those stands so close by that ball hit the tarp and kind of died out there.
Well, the key is your shortstop cannot give up on that ball. He has got to sprint over there in case it hits it. He'll be the guy to make the play.
Well, I got to believe right here that Charlie Manuel would love to see Happ just settle down here. And here it is, another look. See, that's where you have communication with your shortstop and your third baseman, and your third baseman and shortstop who can see the signs, lets the third baseman know verbally that the changeup's coming, and then you can shift with the pitch. I used to do that with Wally Backman. You know, back in the 80s, I did it with my second baseman, Tommy Herr, in St. Louis. Those are the little communicating things in a game that can save you a ball game here and there. But I think Charlie Manuel would like to have to settle down and not use the bullpen.
Well, they're going to walk Tatis intentionally. First base open, and the left-hand hitter Church on deck.
And you can see hitting that tarp.
You see how the Phillies ran after it because he knew exactly where that ball was going. Rollins, though, kind of stopped.
Yeah.
And that forced Ibanez to field that ball. And if you have a faster man at first base than Sheffield, maybe you got a chance to score on that play.
Well, the problem you have if Phillies runs after the ball, Gary, is that if you have a slow runner on first base, you have no play at third.
So Tatis gets the intentional pass, and we were talking about Church getting the start against the lefty. Well, a big at bat now with the Mets having a chance to break the game open early on. Jack Tashner, one of three lefties in the Philly bullpen, starts loosening. Phillies had been carrying 13 pitchers until today when Lidge went on the disabled list. They called up a third catcher, Paul Bacco, the veteran. So they're back to 12 pitchers.
Well, J. Happ has been trying to pitch Church in. Would be a bad time for Ryan to look in first pitch.
Church walked his first time up. Bases loaded, one out. And he fouls off the first offering.
No good pitch right there, up and in fastball. I always liked him off a left-hander, Gary, because the book on me was inside in an RBI situation to look fastball in first pitch.
Ryan Church's last run batted in came April 27th. He's got 71 at bats without an RBI. Got a golden opportunity here. But now Happ ahead of him 0-2. By the way, the 2 home runs for the Mets tonight. First time they've had a multiple home run game since May the 13th, 4 weeks ago against Atlanta. 70 pitches for Happ already in the third inning.
Ronnie, would you consider the intentional pass 4 pitches on your pitch count?
I wouldn't, but they do include it in the pitch count.
It's a technicality.
Yes.
0-2, and the slider misses. Jay Happ had been pitching brilliantly through 7 shutout innings his last start in San Diego on Saturday, but a very different kind of outing today.
Well, that was an 0-2 show me pitch. Just a slider way in the dirt. See if Ryan was swinging. Probably should go back in now.
Breaking ball line to right field. Right in front of it is Worth. Tagging at third is Sheffield, but he's not going to come. Good idea. Worth makes a good one-hop throw to the plate.
Well, we've seen too much of Jason Worth to know that man can play right field has a strong arm, not a great arm, but a good arm and an accurate arm. And that's right on the money. Sheffield's dead if he tried it.
So it's left to Santos with the bases loaded and 2 out. This has not been the best situation for the Mets this year. As a ball club with the bases loaded and 2 out this year, the Mets are hitting .129. Santos has a grand slam this year. In fact, his first big league home run was a grand slam. Reaches for it and fouls it off.
You can see the outfield defense, and I'm a little surprised that Victorino is playing slightly shaded to pull when you've got Worth playing properly. Shallow and right, shading towards the line. It leaves too big a gap in right center field. Santos goes that way naturally.
Back on April 27th against Florida, this was Santos' first big league home run. In fact, his first big league RBIs. 4 of them. And Happ working him inside again, 2-1.
Well, it looks like, Ronnie, they're probably playing the pull and pitching him in.
Problem is that Mr. Happ's been pretty predictable when he misses with his fastball in. When he gets behind in the count, he's been going to a changeup against right-handed hitters. Let's see if he chooses to do this with a 2-1 count and the bases loaded.
Got Santos to pop up his first time, and Omier fouls off the fastball. 2-2. That's 4 hits in this game. They've all been extra base hits. Homers by Wright and Beltran, doubles by Cora and Wright. Two and 2 to Santos, and Omier pops it up again. Utley waiting for it to come down. Side retired. So the Mets leave him loaded, but they add 2 in the 3rd. Carlos Beltran, first pitch swinging, belts a 2-run shot, his 8th of the year. Mets have gone deep tonight twice, and they lead it 3-0 going to the 4th. Santana now staked to a 3-0 lead as we go to the 4th. Santana pitching with purpose tonight. He has not been at his best his last 3 or 4 starts. So dominant over his first 7 starts of the season. Last 4 starts, starting with the outing in Boston, which was a great gutsy performance. He's been good but not great. Tonight he looks more like his early season self.
Well, I think what happens is that when you're watching him early on, I think you get to a point where you expect he's not going to ever give up any runs. Now, his last effort was not great in a loss to Pittsburgh, but it was 6 innings, 8 hits, 3 runs. That usually is a great start for today's starters. Not a good one for Santana. Bar is so high.
Chase Utley takes a strike. Utley popped up his first time up.
Well, one thing's for certain, all the great pitchers when your club in a big game spots you the lead like this early, they shut the door.
And with the combination of Santana pitching and the Mets Phillies opening a big series here, there's a certain electricity in the building that I don't think we felt before here at Citi Field. And I think Santana really, he contributes to it, but he also feeds off it. Utley bounces a slider foul, 1-2.
I think in his last start, the surprising part about Santana, that when I say 6 innings, 2 runs, that's not an awful start. It was that he was given a lead and gave it right back with the Jaramillo home run, his first of his career, and then of course the successive doubles by McLeod and Adam LaRoche. That really was surprising that he would give it up so quickly.
That's why they play the game.
Yep.
Even Koufax lost occasionally.
Absolutely.
1-2. Chopper down to Tatis. Comes in to grab it before that second hop. 1 away.
Oh, gosh, that's painful to look at. That's Jamie. I knew it. Moyer. Even when I was a kid, I could never sit that way.
I can do that. I just can't get out of that.
See, it's supposed to be harder when you get older, but Jamie's the oldest guy around, and he can do it. Here's Jason Worth, who popped up his first time up.
And I think congratulations are in order for Mr. Moore. He got his 250th win. What a career that's been.
He's been, the whole starting rotation, as Gary said earlier, has been pitching much better for the Phillies as this young left-hander Happ has stepped up.
Well, Moyer was a huge concern going into his last 2 starts because he was looking as though maybe finally his time had come, but now the last 2 times out he's pitched very well.
Well, you look at the Philadelphia earned run average. Last time we played him, it was well up in almost 6, and they've got it back down to 4.63 now.
Still the second worst in the league, but you're right, they've improved drastically.
They've improved over a run a game.
0-2 to Worth.
And you know, it doesn't come out of nowhere. You watch Jamie, there's Cole Hamels, who's the star of this team, shut out in his last performance. But you watch Moyer, he is really watching the game. You show me any pitcher that's worth his weight. They are guys that pay attention on their days off. Here's the point you were saying, Keith.
Yep.
Hit hard, but Castillo right there to grab it. And Worth retired, 2 out. So 2 up and 2 set aside, so Ryan Howard will bat with the bases empty.
Well, watch how Santana tries to carve up Howard in this at bat. Fastball away to get ahead. Nice slider. Good break on that. Again, another slider down in the strike zone. Again, he wants to show him one more before he pops one upstairs. Just beautiful pitching of different eye levels. Down, 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 and when he wants to, surprises him with that high heater.
And I think the most important thing is that it's a slider, Gary, that's out of the strike zone that Howard can't hit. If he takes it, it's a ball. He swung at the second one. Okay, he swung at that one, and see if he swings at another one. And
starts him off with the fastball that tipped the bat, and that's a strike. 0-1.
Santos with the signs. Fastball in. Got a break with a tip. Now slider away.
And it's lifted to right field and deep. Back goes Church onto the warning track back near the bullpen fence, and it's out of here. Ryan Howard with his 18th home run of the year gets the Phillies onto the board.
Again, given the lead, Santana giving up the home run to Howard. Why? Well, we talked about it in his last at bat. He was able to keep those sliders down and out of the strike zone. This time he catches the center of the plate, Keith.
Yep, he hung it. That's what he did. And if it was that easy, everybody would be out there pitching. And probably for a quarter a game.
And this is a big field for everybody, but for guys like Ryan Howard, it doesn't matter where he hits them.
And that's the second one he's hit at Citi Field. Now at Ibanez fouls one off. So 18 home runs, 48 RBIs for Howard. That cuts the Met lead to 3-1.
Well, there it is. Don't throw it. Oh boy, you can see right there. There's the differential, and that's got plate, and it's up.
Remember now, Howard is hitting .350 about off Santana. He's got 3 home runs against him now, and he hasn't even gotten hot yet. Wait till he gets hot. Then it gets hot in Philadelphia.
He's got 18 home runs. Ibanez has 19. Ibanez drives one to deep right field. Church going back and looking up, and it's out of here. Over the Modell side, back-to-back home runs for Howard and Ibanez. Ibanez's 20th of the year cuts the Met lead to 3-2.
Well, the Philadelphia Phillies right here, sometimes you can tug on Superman's cape as they come back with 2 home runs here. That one just below the Pepsi Ford. Remember he struck him out on that high fastball, Keith? Not high enough.
And he had the middle. He got too much of it right down Broadway. Again.
Nice barehanded catch by the fan, by the way, as Bill Thompson celebrates. Phillies hitting coach.
A brand new ball game, isn't it?
Almost.
Fighting Phils.
Here's for Jimmy Rollins taking a strike. Well, Santana got the first 2 hitters in the inning, got a hit on Howard, gave up a home run, get a hit 0-2 on Ibanez. And Ibanez homers his 20th of the year. Line to the left field, and there's a base hit for Rollins. Sheffield gets over and cuts it off, and he'll hold Rollins to a single. But 3 straight 2-out hits off Santana. And this is what you were talking about in Pittsburgh, Ronnie, that all of a sudden Santana had the 1 bad inning. Remember the 2 starts back, he had that 4-walk, 41 pitch inning that dragged him down.
I think now listen, it's hard to ever criticize Santana because of the start he's got off to. But to me, what happens in the last few games is that once he's gone through the lineup once, that second time through, he continues to catch a lot of the strike zone trying to power through these lineups. And I think that it would behoove him to throw some more pitches out of the strike zone.
I think he gets his blood up in the competition and gets too fired up.
So now with the tying run at first, Phillies the batter. Santana tough to run against, but you know Rollins is thinking that as Phillies takes a strike.
My whole feeling is when you're facing a team, Gary and Keith, and they've dictated to you right off the bat that they're going to be swinging and swinging early and often, you can use pitches out of the strike zone to your advantage.
Rollins with 10 steals this year. Phillies drives one to center, but Beltran right there waiting for it. And that retires the side. But back-to-back 2-out home runs by Ryan Howard and Raul Ibanez have gotten the Phillies closer. It's 3-2 New York. NY is brought to you by Wise. Hey, Met fans, want to help break a world record? Get a ticket to the July 10th Mets game for the Wise Big City Crunch. Well, Citi Field is not supposed to be a home run haven, but each team has homered twice, and the Mets have a 3-2 lead as we go to the bottom of the fourth. Wright and Beltran homering for New York. Howard and Ibanez homering back-to-back for the Phillies. Santana flares one out to Phillies, and that's the first out of the inning.
I just love the fact that Santana runs everything out. He is a trooper. That's a routine ground ball, and he hustles down that line.
Luis Castillo coming up. Let's check in with Kevin.
Guys, I got two different opinions on if this ballpark, or if a ballpark like this could actually alter your hitting philosophy. At first, it was David Wright of the Mets, who, of course, I'm talking about this on the night there's 4 home runs here. But David Wright said, look, you know what? The bottom line is when you play 81 games here, you do have to adapt a little bit. You can't be stubborn because there are no cheapies, and there are going to be a lot of pop-ups, a lot of fly balls that are going to be outs, and you can't be stubborn. You have to change a little bit. You have to adapt. So he basically admitted that he thinks he and some teammates do change, and maybe that does carry over on the road because of how they hit here. Talked to Jason Worth of the Phillies, and I asked, not only playing here, but if you were to play here 81 games, do you think the Phillies, the slugging team that we see that they are, would they change? And he said, I could see how you would say that, especially with these gaps here. Certain guys, I think, would like to go oppo, they like to go gaps, but honestly, with the guys that we have, it doesn't matter. We just went to Petco, and that place looks small, and as you just saw, they can make this place look small as well.
Well, the thing about that is, if you're going to change your approach, what does that actually mean? I mean, how would you go about doing that?
Well, when you play 81 games here, the home team can adapt. You get in batting practice and you hit line drives. You don't hit fly balls. You don't go in there and hit home runs in batting practice. They don't count. I always used to see guys go and hit home runs. Darryl will be taking BP, and I get on Darryl and say, they don't count in the record books, Darryl. This is 2 hours before the game.
But during games, do guys go up there trying to hit home runs?
I think
Castillo flares one to right, and Worth is there for the second out.
I will say this: if I've got a Darryl Strawberry, a Ryan Howard on my team with Carlos Delgado, I don't want them swinging for singles in any ballpark, even the Dome, which was bigger than this park. If you can believe that, much bigger than this park. So with the Phillies coming in here, you want your Utleys to hit line drives, your table setters. Ruiz's can't hit home runs here, but you want Howard take his cuts. He's your power guy. Ibanez gets his pit. Take your cut. They're the power guys in the middle of the order.
Well, what about, say, David Wright? I mean, David has hit 4 home runs this year. He's hit 1 tonight, but he's talking about changing his approach. Is that what you're looking for?
I think that David knows that he got too much in the habit of uppercutting. And, let's face it, he's got 4 home runs now in the season. Don't think that doesn't jumble around in his brain. He's very much aware of it. He's a 30 home run guy. And I think Ronnie made a very good point. He wrote something down, a good note. You can hit line drives out of this ballpark. If you hit the ball hard and you get under it just a little bit, it's going to get out if you crush it, no matter what. But the fact, Gary, and not to belabor the point, it was just like when I played in Busch Stadium. It was 386 in the gaps. There was no margin for error. You get under the balls, it's an F9, F8, F7 on your scorecard.
What about the opposite, guys? Chipper Jones today criticizing the park, saying that Wright and Beltran and guys they're going to see their home run numbers plummet. Is it ironic that both come out and hit home runs today?
Well, think about it this way. Their home runs have plummeted, and they're both hitting 350 about. So, there's some give and there's some take.
As Cora goes down swinging to end the inning, so Happ responds with a 1-2-3 fourth. His 3rd strikeout. We go to the 5th at Citi Field, 3-2 Mets. Pepsi throwback. Get down with a refreshingly retro flavor of Pepsi throwback. We remember this one. 1999. Bobby Valentine ejected, comes back into the dugout wearing a fake mustache and glasses.
That was the Keith Hernandez look.
He was just kind of hiding in the corner.
Were you here, Ronnie? You weren't here.
I was not here. I did see it though, because that made all the news coverage.
See, if it hadn't been for the TV cameras, no one would have known. TV's the bad guy. Carlos Ruiz flying to left his first time up, but you know what? For Bobby V, it only helped enhance his legend.
Oh yeah.
Speaking of legends.
Well, that's probably for Tatis.
No, I don't think so. That is a campaign to retire your number. You note the resemblance to the retired numbers on the wall?
Oh, very nice, right? And apropos, I believe.
Everybody's entitled to their opinion.
2-2 to Ruiz.
The only problem is if those people are your passes, then we're in a little bit of trouble.
You know, you don't see that many banners at Citi Field. It's not like Shea. There's less room to hang them. 2-2 is popped up. Tatis retreating. And wow, what a play by Tatis as Castillo didn't get over there to help him out.
That is normally a second baseman's ball. And is it going to be fair?
Yes, it was a fair ball.
Wow. Close. Oh man, that drops. Can you imagine? It's a leadoff dub.
It's not only the second baseman's ball, but Tatis is a relatively inexperienced first baseman. And Louis is usually pretty good at getting over there on the pop-ups. Here's Jay Happ. Breaks his bat. And Castillo in to grab it for the second out. So Happ still in search of that first big league hit. And Santana, after a rough fourth, easily dispatches the first two in the fifth. How important is that for a pitcher, Ronnie? When you have that one bad inning, to go out there and have yourself a nice, easy, quick one.
You really do, because for your confidence, what it tells you, you know what? Those two solo home runs, that's an anomaly. It's a blip on the radar screen. I've got my good stuff today. I'm going to continue to pitch well. Now, it helps when you have the 8th and 9th hitter starting off the inning.
Exactly.
That really helps.
If you have a bad inning and all of a sudden you got to face Utley, Worth, and Howard, it's a little more difficult.
There's Victorino who takes a strike. Victorino's been up twice and popped up both times. Low pitch count for Santana, much better than Happ's pitch count, which is already over 90 through 4 innings. Victorino lifts one along the right field line. That'll go foul and out of play.
Well, you see Santana versus Victorino so far. No sliders to the right-hand hitter. All fastballs and changeups. The thing you like about Santana is that not only does he throw changeups, but he'll change speed on his changeup.
You can see the first at bat, 3 out of 4 fastballs, establishing the fastball.
And he hooks one into left field, and Victorino's got himself a 2-out hit. So for the second straight inning, Santana retires the first 2 and then gives up a hit ahead of the count.
Well, it's like a high changeup here. Nice hitting by Victorino. Now, Victorino, you got to be careful. We'll see the pitch first. It is a changeup, sinking. The difference is it was belt high instead of down. He gets it down, he gets a ground ball. Victorino 9 stolen bases on the year, but remember, Gary, he hurt his hip on the road trip in San Diego.
And also, Santana has now gone 115 innings without allowing a stolen base, going back to last year. Very, very tough to run on. He's handled Utley tonight, popped up and grounded out 0 for 2. And Utley bounces one foul.
You know, the one thing that Santana does that you can't factor in as a runner at first base, he is so in control of his mechanics that when he raises that leg and is going to the plate, if you make any movement like you're going, he can alter and go to first base. I've never really seen any pitcher be able to do that. Santana can.
You know, you think about guys like Pettit who pick people off. Santana doesn't do that, yet he still stops the running game.
Well, the one thing he does, see that? That's the slide step. So the first time he raised the leg, kept it in the air, see what Victorino was going to do, and proceeded to the plate. Then he alternates it with the slide step. He'll give the base runner many different looks, which makes them feel like their feet are in concrete. That's the courtesy throw over to let you know what you're doing. See that? He just raises that leg, and if you take off, he'll just proceed to first base, and that's how he gets a lot of his, well, they're called caught stealing, but picking them off of first base.
Utley gets under one. Easy play for Church in right field. And that retires the side. Halfway through at Citi Field. That's with the heart of the order coming up, leading 3-2. Just as passionate about New York sports as you are. Don't miss Chris Carlin and Adam Shine as they go head to head on everything from baseball to pop culture on Loudmouths, presented by Geico, weeknights at 6 p.m. right here on SNY. Jay Happ has survived through 4. He's already thrown 91 pitches, and now he's going to take on Beltran, Sheffield, and Wright third time around.
Last time with the home run, Happ threw him a first pitch curveball that hit out of the ballpark. I can assure you that will not be the pitch here.
It was Beltran's 8th home run of the year. And he gets a first pitch fastball for a strike.
You pitch Carlos inside right-handed at your own peril. If you're going to pitch him inside, you got to have a little slider or a cutter in there.
And Keith, you were talking about this the other day. You know, Beltran, high ball hitter left-handed, low ball hitter right-handed, which is so unusual.
Well, actually, he's become a better hitter right-handed, and you know, a lot of times that's the way it happens. I mean, Ted Simmons was a natural left-hand hitter and was a better average hitter right-handed, because I asked him why. He says, because I worked more on my right-hand hitting, my bad side.
Popped up for Utley. So Happ able to get that ball in on Beltran, and that's the first out. So that's 6 in a row retired by Happ, who's made a nice recovery, trying to keep his team in the game.
Well, think about Happ this way, too. What a joy it must be for him on his days off. He gets to watch Cole Hamels pitch. He gets to watch Jamie Moyer pitch. 2 different styles, but things that he can incorporate into his game.
Began the year in the bullpen, moved into the rotation to take Chan-Ho Park's spot. Park moving into the bullpen. Here's Sheffield, and he drives one deep left field. Back goes Ibanez. It's over his head and off the wall. Sheffield's going to have to hustle if he wants to. Ibanez with the throw, under the tag, and he's out at second base. He hit it hard off the wall, and Ibanez played it perfectly, and Sheffield not running 100%. And he's out trying to get 2.
Well, that's off the wall, and you said it, Gare. Perfect throw.
right on the money. And Gary, who's not running well, he knew this ball wasn't out. That was a line drive. And that's a Jack Murphy field double right there in most cases.
Well, you know, it's hard to say this for a guy who has 20 home runs and all the big hits he's had, but it has been his defense that has really been vital to the Philadelphia Phillies. 18 errors, the fewest in baseball, and coming over after Pat Burrell's been a mainstay all those years. That's a play that Pat, who's a good slugger, does not make.
Now David Wright, who has a home run and a double, he takes a big rip and fouls it back.
Let's see the tag again. Let's see if he tagged him.
Phantom tag here.
Let's see. It's hard to tell from that angle.
He might have gotten him behind the knee right before the leg got in.
That's a ball beat you, automatic, call you out.
I mean, it beat him by so much.
Yeah, exactly.
And the thing about it is that Sheffield was running hard out of the box. It's just that between how hard he hit it, how good a throw Ibanez made, and the fact that Gary just can't get there.
Yeah, you're right. You're right about that, Gary. The key is how hard he hits the baseball.
So beach ball loose.
So you were just saying Jack Murphy, right? That was right. A constant of Jack Murphy.
Well, this ball, look at that level swing. He crushed that one.
And he knew immediately that he had to go hard.
Yep. And Gary just doesn't run the way he used to.
It's so hard that when you hit a ball off the wall to say, okay, I'm going to stop it first.
Yeah, you're right.
Right?
You're right. Unless it's the Green Monster or, you know, a short porch.
Now Happ ahead on Wright 0-2. And this is badly with the fastball.
Well, I tell you what, Happ is impressive. Got a good live fastball. Brett Myers goes down, opens up a hole, takes him out of the bullpen, and he gets the start, and he's taking the bull by the horns.
And Wright chasing the fastball. Fourth strikeout for Happ. 5 in the books now. Santana back to the mound with a 1-run lead. Schedule. Remember, all Mets games on SNY are available in HD, presented by IOTV. We mentioned it at the outset tonight. 32 games, including tonight before the All-Star break. 25 of them against teams with winning record. 3 of them that aren't against the team with a winning record are against the defending American League champion. The Rays are a game under 500. Here's Jason Worth leading off the 6th, and he bloops one foul. 0-1. And remember, if you're in the car, listen to every Mets game on Sports Radio 66 WFAN, because Howie and Wayne would be very upset if you don't.
Well, the Rays have been playing a lot better lately, but all the things that went perfect for them last season has not. Their bullpen has had some problems. They're also 6-11 in one-run games, and that's something they were great in last season.
Worth breaks his back. Cora can't quite reach it. And Worth is aboard. Beltran charging as Worth takes the hard turn and goes back with the leadoff single. So the tying run aboard for the Phillies with the big boys coming up.
Well, Worth always stays level with his swing. He gets jammed here, and that's just hit right in the right spot, just out of the reach of Alex.
That's interesting. Looked right at his thumb as soon as he dove.
Yep.
Well, he made that great diving play in Washington on Sunday and landed on that hand, and there he does again.
Well, Worth has 10 stolen bases. We know all about Jason Worth. That one game, what do you have, 2 years ago or last year, Gary, where they stole the 4 bases?
2 years ago with Billy Wagner. Yeah. Well, he's not going to run here with Howard up. Howard parked one of the bullpen his last time up, his 18th of the year. And he takes the hack. 0-1. It's a 2-seamer from Santana.
Yeah, interesting. That ball went down and in. He wanted that ball to be away.
Sinker. So you miss on the opposite side of the plate.
Well, Howard is one of those unusual left-handed hitters that likes the ball up in the strike zone.
Up and in, 1-1.
I think I've mentioned this before. So you see the home run in the 4th inning, Keith.
Well, they got the hanger. And I always felt a lefty-lefty that if I hurt a lefty with a slider, I would look next at bat. I would look in for 2 strikes.
1-1 to Howard. Fastball popped up. A long run for Sheffield to the line. Makes the backhand effort and grabs it for the out as Worth retreats to first. Nicely done by Gary Sheffield, who had to come a long way to get it in foul ground.
Well, that's one of the new features in this ballpark. And that is, look how there's no foul territory down those lines, and it's very, very tough on the corner outfielders. Much like Fenway, Gary.
Now, he never seemed to take his eye off that ball to check out where he was. How did he manage to make that play and have that feel for where the line and where the wall was?
Yeah,
I'm sure he picked it up early and had an idea, sensed where he was.
I think he's getting some familiarity with the ballpark also.
Now Ibanez with 1 out and 1 on, and a good first pitch breaking ball, 0-1.
Another thing too, Gary, is that you have the warning tracks, and you know when you're running on the grass and then you hit the dirt, it's a different sound, and you know you're close.
I guess the question is, how did he know he could catch it standing up as opposed to going into a slide? Because in ballparks like this one, where you have such little room in foul territory, the slide has become the thing to do to keep yourself safe.
Right. Well, I think the problem with his legs doesn't allow him to do that, so he's going to try to time it up against that wall. And that was a fine play by Sheffield, who has been nothing as described. He has played a very solid left field.
Santana going soft ahead on Ibanez 0-2. Comes back with a slider, and it's 1-2.
Well, Santana, it's always fun to watch him pitch. He made a big mistake against Ibanez, and he's pitching him with very much intent not to make that mistake. Very focused on making the good pitches.
Popped up. Playable for David Wright in foul ground. And the side retired. The second out, excuse me. 2 out of the inning. Let's check in with Chris Carlin. He's standing by for a New York State Smokers Quit Line game break. All right, Chris, so 2 away, and here's Jimmy Rollins, who is 1 for 2, single to left his last time up. Worth led off the inning with a base hit. He's still at first with 2 out, and a dribbler foul. So Santana, after giving up the back-to-back homers to Howard and Ibanez last time, this time changing the plan a little bit and getting them both to foul out.
The Worth at first base, though, Howard and Ibanez have been erased. Look to him to maybe run here, especially with Rollins behind in the count 0-1. Good time to maybe try to take the base. If you're thrown out, you have a leadoff type hitter. Rollins leading off the next inning.
There's only been 1 stolen base attempt against Santana this year. Hit in the air to deep left field. Back goes Sheffield onto the track, looking up, and it's out of here. Jimmy Rollins gives the Phillies the lead with a 2-run homer. His 4th home run of the year, and it's 4-3 Philadelphia. The Phillies with their 3rd home run tonight off Santana. Rollins had been slumping, but coming to New York brings out his best.
No changeup, Ronnie, and right around mid-thigh, inner half, mistake.
Almost like Rollins was sitting on that pitch, Keith.
Phillies pops one up in foul ground. Tatis is there. The inning over, but the Phillies now have the lead. The Mets were ahead 3-0 on home runs by Howard and Ibanez in the 4th. A 2-run shot by Rollins in the 6th, and it's 4-3 Phillies.
Does it again to the Mets. His 2-run home run puts the Phillies on top. And think about this. Jimmy Rollins in 06 and 07 had 55 home runs. Coming into today, the last 2 years, he had 14 total. And, of course, as Gary and the guys have been talking about, have been in a horrific slump. So I talked to Milt Thompson, the Phil's hitting coach today, and I asked what's been going on. He said, well, it's simple. He got off to a bad start, and he's putting a ton of pressure on him. So he thought the drop to the 6 hole would help. But how about this, guys? Want to talk about, I guess, somewhat funny. He said, you know, really, he doesn't like to play small ball, and he tries a little bit too hard to hit home runs sometimes. Yeah, I'm sure Met fans happy to hear that right now, but I guess it worked.
Tatis hits one to deep left center. Back goes Ibanez near the wall, and it's off the fence. Tatis to second, and he's in standing with a leadoff double. Well, it has been wall ball and over the wall ball tonight at Citi Field.
Well, another Jack Murphy double here. As Tatis, who has been struggling and he really needs to get it going, it really would be a plus for the Mets. That's a good sign. He just jumps on this Beltran fastball.
And that's a huge hit because after the Rollins home run takes a little air out of the ballpark, Tatis reinflates the balloon.
And I think we have to point out as the infield gets together with Jay Happ is that Fernando Tatis, like you have to in this ballpark, when you hit a ball on the nose and it's in left center, it doesn't matter. You got to sprint because you never know what's going to happen in this ballpark. Good job by Fernando.
Will Jerry Manuel bunt here? I don't know. He's bunt with Church before. I'd let him swing.
Boy, I'd let him swing. Try and pull that ball. But he's up there to bunt. Throw to second by Ruiz, and it goes into center field. Tatis got a late break, but he'll hit to third and make it safely. Ruiz throwing behind the runner made a bad throw, and Rollins couldn't flag it down.
Well, an ill-advised throw here. No chance to get him. And a lot of times catchers with good arms, and particularly the Latin catchers come to mind. Tony Pena. They love to throw, and sometimes they just got it was ill-advised in a one-run ball game.
You see that a lot too with a bunt play on where guy bunts through the ball, and you figure you might be able to get a guy off second base. Church swinging at the slider, and it's 1-1. The infield back, they're conceding a run on a ground ball to a middle infield.
Absolutely, play back. You don't want a big inning here.
So 2 cracks to get that run in with nobody out. Santos behind Church. And then the question is, if the Mets don't get the run in with these two, would they hit for Santana? Down by a run in the 6th. Jerry hopes he doesn't have to make that choice.
If there's 2 outs and a runner on third base, I would hit Santana personally.
I would too.
Because you need, what do you need? You need your pitcher to go deep in these games. The Mets are going to be effective. I know they're down a run. Small pitch count by Santana. He's got at least 2, maybe 3 more innings in him.
Lovely spending a lot of time at the mound and waiting for Ruiz to come out. So obviously he had something to say to Ruiz as well as Hal.
Well, a lot of times what you'll get is the manager will go out to one of his infielders from the dugout. He'll motion with his hands. Hey, go speak to the pitcher. What does that do? If he got someone up, gives him a little more time to get loose.
I don't know what they could have communicated there, and at a complete loss.
Church looking for that elusive RBI. Grounds one down to Howard, who's coming home with the throw. Low throw, out at the plate. Great pickup by Ruiz. And he gets the tag on Tatis for the first out of the inning.
Well, we've talked about how its defense has improved. Ruiz makes up for the great play, but I don't know if he made the tag, Keith.
Well, it's a bad throw. Great play by Ruiz. Did he make the tag? He slid under the tag, maybe.
Boy, he was cradling that ball.
Oh, he's safe.
Absolutely.
Safe. And you see the shin guard block the umpire's view. That's home plate umpire Lance Barksdale.
Very surprised that Jerry's not out arguing this call, because Tatis had to know he was safe.
He's in.
Ball beat him by plenty, but there's no way he got the tag down. See, he's trying to cradle the ball.
Oh, God.
He doesn't even have control of it.
He is very fortunate that he held the ball.
Just cradling that ball with his bare hand against his wrist. So the Mets get robbed of a call there. That's going to be all for Jay Happ, who dodges a bullet there and will leave with the lead. Happ is done. This pitching change brought to you by Lincoln Mercury.
I don't care what his pitch count is. He's still going good.
Look where the ball is.
He's safe.
It's your Coors Light freeze cam, and it is irrefutable evidence, but there's no video review. So the Mets unable to tie it on that bad call by Lance Barksdale. Now a runner at first. Chad Durbin in to pitch to Onir Santos, and a breaking ball misses for ball one.
Well, my mistake.
Durbin, that's Clay Condrey.
It's my mistake, Gary. I told you I thought it was Durbin that they were bringing in. It isn't. It's Clay Condrey. 28 game. Look at that one-loss record. 4-0. He has been the man to go to in these early innings. I thought Jay Happ threw a nice game after being victimized by those 2 home runs early, Keith.
I love his stuff.
Santos has popped up twice. This time he lines a base hit in the right field. That'll move Church to second. And now Santana can stay in the bunt.
Well, interesting that the Mets, with nobody out, runner on third. Well, the infield was back. They had the contact play. But that's what Santos does well. He goes the other way nicely.
Well, Santana hasn't done much this year with the bat, but he does have 7 sacrifice bunts.
Soon to be 8.
There you go.
He is that good. He and Levon Hernandez. I'm using a pronoun again. Santana and Levon are 2 terrific bunters.
Pronouns are okay.
Well, someone came back in, say when you got a beer or soda pop. They want to repeat to you.
Oh, okay.
We know who we were talking about. Phillies fake the wheel, and Santana misses the bunt attempt. Rollins started to break toward third to try and sell the wheel, but it was not on.
Well, you can see the fake, and that's just kind of to disrupt the bunter. And, you don't want to put, Santana handles the bat too well. You do not want to vacate shortstop with the wheel.
Again, Rollins fakes the wheel, and Santana bunts it foul. Now, isn't the point of faking the wheel to get the hitter to swing away?
That's the problem, is that for you as a hitter, especially the pitcher, you are bunting, okay? But if you see Rollins start to vacate shortstop, you are taught to swing the bat. And I think that Santana's been in between on both of those pitches.
The thing is, though, Gary, this isn't too important a game right here, and I think the most important thing right now is to get the runners in scoring position for Castillo. They'll base it and take the lead back.
What I would do if I were bunting, if they're faking the wheel, I would change from bunting the ball to third base to bunt the ball to first to Howard. Make him make the play.
Bunt is on with 2 strikes. Now he swings and he lines it down the right field line. That's a foul ball going to the corner. Church comes in to score the tying run. Santos is held at third. It's an RBI double for Johan Santana. The old Butcher Boy play, and the Mets tied at 4-4.
Well, he laid it in right here, I believe. Got it up. Oh, hanging slider. Why would he throw a slider? It's beyond me. And he's got such a good sinker. And he paid for it. Nice hitting. And you see Razor shines right here with 1 out. Is not going to run his team out of an inning.
Well, he got the runners to second and third all right. Even better than he intended. Now it's a tie game. The Mets have 2 in scoring position. The Phillies will leave their middle infielders back. Castillo, the batter, is 0 for 3. And he takes a strike from Condrey. So Condrey's faced 2 batters, the 8 and 9 hitters, and given up 2 hits. The old Butcher Boy play. Show bunt and swing. And Santana swings and drives in his first run of the year.
Nicely done.
One to Castillo. Little bloop, and Rollins is right there waiting for it. So Castillo unable to get that lead run home, and now they're at 2 out. They were giving him a run on a ground ball.
Wow.
But the pop-up leaves Cora with second and third and 2 out. Alex doubled down the right field line in the third and scored in front of Beltran's home run. Mets had a 3-0 lead on home runs by Wright and Beltran. 3 Philadelphia home runs. But the Phillies in front. Now the Mets have tied it in the 6th. And Cora takes the breaking ball for a strike.
Oh boy, look at the outfield defense, and Victorino very shallow, shaded to the opposite field. Abanez very shallow, and also I should just make it simple. The entire outfield is playing very shallow.
Cora hits one right up the middle, a base hit, and the Mets take the lead. Santos scores. Santana held at third. Throw comes in, so Cora will take the extra base and go to second. Alex Cora gives the Mets the lead, 5-4.
Well, another fat pitch from Condrey. Wants to come in. Watch it bleed out. Oh, not even close. Beautiful hitting. Victorino playing so shallow. No chance to score. Where's Howard, the first baseman?
Never got there in time.
Not there to cut off. And watch Cora right here. He sees the throw, hesitates, makes the turn, and then sees there's no cutoff man and advances to second.
And with him advancing, that means Beltran will be walked intentionally. And they will pitch instead to Sheffield with the bases loaded.
Well, when you're in key situations as a pitcher with runners in scoring position, you have to execute your pitches. Santana and Razor Shine celebrating that first RBI of the season.
Oh, wants it in. Oh boy, just misses. But still, it's a good sinker on the out. It looks like it might even be outside. That's just good hitting by Alex.
Condrey's faced 5 batters and 4 of them have reached. Sheffield, the 8th man up in the inning. Bases loaded, 2 out, 5-4 New York. Sheffield did not think that was a strike.
I think he has legitimate beef. That ball looked inside. Yes, it was.
Sheffield hit one off the wall and left his last time up. Breaking ball by Condrey misses 1-1. Santana, who tied the game, is at third. Cora, who gave the Mets the lead at second. And Beltran at first.
And you see the defense right there, shading. Oh, very pull. Much to pull for Sheffield.
Sheffield takes a strike. Knee-high fastball, 1-2. Just missed. 2-2 to Sheffield.
Second time the Mets have had the bases loaded.
Left them loaded in the third. Trying to avoid doing the same here in the 6th. 2-2 to Sheffield. Swing and a miss. He struck him out. Clay Condrey gets Sheffield to end the inning, but after Santana gave up the lead, Santana helps the Mets regain the lead. The Butcher Board double tied it. Cora's hit put him in front. It's 5-4 New York. On SNY is brought to you by Bud Light, by Geico, and by the all-new All That 2010 Mazda 3. It's been back and forth at Citi Field tonight. Mets led 3-0 on home runs by Wright and Beltran. 3 home runs off Santana by Howard, Ibanez, and Rollins put the Phillies on top, but thanks in part to Santana's bat, the Mets are back in front 5-4. Chad Durbin up in the bullpen for the Phillies, somewhere behind the fence.
Somewhere in Czechoslovakia.
Number 8 hitter Carlos Ruiz will lead off in the 7th inning. Santana's only thrown 74 pitches through the first 6. In part because he's thrown first pitch strikes to 23 of the 25 batters he's faced. Sometimes maybe you can throw too many strikes.
I think we were talking about it earlier in the broadcast, is that sometimes he throws so many strikes, 62, 13 balls, with a free swinging team like the Philadelphia Phillies that have dictated early in the game that they're swinging early and often. Sometimes you got to understand that too and try to move the ball off at the plate a little bit.
Eric Bruntlett on deck to pinch hit for Condrey. Ruiz turns that one around, and it's 1-2.
Listen, just by its very nature this season, he throws strikes almost 75% of the time, which is a very high number. More of your pitchers will be between 60 and 65%.
1-2 to Ruiz. Bounce foul. Well, Santana has struck out only 2 tonight. He struck out Howard and Ibanez back-to-back in the 2nd inning, and nobody since. He only struck out 3 in his last start against the Pirates.
You know, Dwight Gooden was the best pitcher I ever was on a team with, and he used to close games out just ridiculously, especially the first 2 years. But the best pitcher I ever played with who could win these kind of games was Dave Stewart. If you scored 5 for him, he gave up 4. If you scored 1, he gave up nothing. I mean, he was that kind of pitcher.
Ruiz off the end of the bat to center field, and Beltran there to grab it, 1 away. So 1 out of the 7th. Now Eric Bruntlett will bat for the pitcher.
Bruntlett 3 for 16 as a pinch hitter this year with 3 ribeye steaks.
Well, he's batting for Clay Condrey, who's now on the hook in this game. Condrey came on for half and threw significant gasoline on the fire. Fortunate to get out of that 6th inning, only allowing 1 run. Bruntlett hitting just 152 on the year, and he takes low ball 1.
Well, Bruntlett's the kind of guy that's here because he can play all the infield positions, second, short, and third, and he can play center and right field. So versatility.
Interesting. Bruntlett and Santos having a word. Wonder what that was about.
Maybe Santos was asking him if he had a blue ox with that Paul Bunyan beard. 2-0 to Bruntlett.
Do you think?
No, probably not.
Usually this time of year you see the hockey players, right? They have those playoff beards as Victorino waits on deck.
Not too many of those left. Bruntlett pops one up in foul ground. See if Wright has room near the Philly dugout, but it's beyond his reach. Well, Santana has been the dominant pitcher in the game for the last half decade. Roy Oswalt is second to him in wins over that span, but it's not been a great year for Oswalt. 2-1, and Bruntlett watches the changeup outside. It's 3-1.
Well, Santana 116 and 54 lifetime, has over 1,600 innings, over 1,600 strikeouts.
And he issues his first walk of the night as Bruntlett is aboard as a pinch hitter. So now the tying run at first for Victorino.
That's an 0-0 right there. Bruntlett cold off the bench. You know, he's a solid big league player, but not the kind of guy you want to walk.
A little bit of rain begins to fall. Boy, did we have some massive thunderstorms this morning in the New York area. Heavy rain, loud Thunder Boomers.
Yep. We even had it out there in eastern Long Island.
You did?
Oh, yeah.
Get to Citi Field, the Mets' new home of Amazing, as the series with the Phillies continues tomorrow night at 7:10. Great place, great seats, and a great time. Visit Mets.com or call 718-507-TIXX for your printed home tickets now. Tomorrow night, Mike Pelfrey against Cole Hamels. That is a big start for Mr. Pelfrey, trying to bounce back from what he described as the worst start of his career his last time out in Pittsburgh. Pedro Feliciano is going to be a key man in this series. He gets up for the first of many times as Shane Victorino takes a strike. And the deploying of Feliciano will be one of the interesting things to watch over these 3 games.
Well, with the big left-handed bats, he's going to be significant in this series. And boy, David Wright's back a little bit too deep. A drag bunt would be nothing but trouble.
Victorino 1 for 3 tonight, and he fouls it off.
Well, it's moot now. Victorino swinging the bat. And this was a golden opportunity for Victorino, the leadoff hitter, to put down a bunt, try to set something up. David was playing just about there with no strikes and over first pitch and second pitch.
Rutland at first with 1 out. Oh, and 2 to Victorino. Caught by Santana, double play. Tron retired. Santana with his bat, and now Santana with his golden glove. Picks off the liner to turn 2. 7th inning stretch time at Citi Field, 5-4 New York. Here's tonight's Aflac trivia question. Who are the 4 players to have more than 400 total bases in consecutive seasons? That's a lot of total bases.
Wow. I have to say Carrick's in there. I'd say Lou.
Santana and Santos going over the pitches. The game plan for tonight. And whether Santana's going to continue. That'll be an interesting question.
Well, Santana's thrown only 88 pitches. So normally you'd say keep going, but tonight maybe not.
Well, they've had some good swings. Chad Durbin in outstanding year last year. 5 wins and 71 appearances for the Phillies. A little tougher road this year. Good cutter, good slider, good sinking fastball.
David Wright with another big night, home run and double. 11 hits now in his last 16 at bats. Takes a changeup high, and it's 2-0. David broke a 100 at-bat home run drought when he went deep in the second inning. 2-1 to Wright.
Did you see that pop up here?
Yeah.
All the way?
Into the stands. Another beach ball has gotten loose on the warning track. Where are we tonight?
It's not even good beach weather.
Let me see. I've got my ticket.
Let's go.
And my car keys.
Hustle off the field.
Oh, wait a minute. Get the beach ball.
Very lackadaisical ball bowling out there. Come on, hustle off that field.
You're hard on the ball, boys. You are.
Those guys work very hard, you know. 2-1 to Wright. Fouls one off his leg. David trying to walk it off.
That is called the old hard sinker that gets under the bat. But you foul off your shin or your ankle. That hurts.
Two to Wright.
Ooh.
Inside with the fastball. Good pitch by Durbin. 3-2.
Just missed.
David just 1 for 7 against Durbin, but that one was a home run. And it's in there for a call strike 3. Surprised him and got him looking. 1 away.
Well, this is a slider hanging over. It broke, but it broke over the middle, and it kind of froze David. Didn't pull the trigger.
So 1 out now. Tatis, who's been on base 3 times in a row, 2 walks. And then he got the Mets rally started in the 6th inning with a double off the wall and left. Eventually was out at the plate on a phantom tag as he takes ball 1. No matter though, because Santos followed with a hit. Santana doubled in the tying run, and Cora singled in the go-ahead run.
Oh,
Tatis tied in knots.
Well, that's called the old hard sinker, and this ball's up and it runs in. Ronnie
turns Fernando into a pretzel.
Wow, that is a new dance step. Well, this is the Chad Durbin we saw last year. He was so tough. Ryan Church on deck.
What he gives you is he runs the ball both sides of the plate. He gets that sinker running in on the right-hander. When he has him feeling that inside pitch, he goes outside with the little cutter slider.
It was a great pickup for the Phillies getting this young man.
Two to Tatis. Bounce foul. Of course, with Lidge now on the disabled list with the knee injury, it moves everybody up a slot in that Phillies bullpen.
Well, you talked about it, Keith. Ryan Matson is going to close the ball games. He's been outstanding, but you're right. Romero is going to be the setup man. JC back from that 50-game suspension. Durbin moves up to pitch the 7th.
Hey, they're watching us in the bullpen. Line to right field. Worth moving over to pick it off. 2 out.
Didn't he?
Well, Santana's thrown only 88 pitches through 7 innings. You've got Utley, Worth, and Howard due up in the 8th inning. And so Jerry's going to make the decision. Do you run him back out there in a 1-run game? How about a Toyota text poll? What do you guys think out there? Should the Mets leave Santana in or go to the pen?
You better hurry up with that text. It's 2 outs.
A, leave him in. B, take him out. Text to 57508 or SNY.TV. Are you suggesting that this inning may be over soon?
If they could text as quick as you, they'll be fine.
they could vote 15 times in the next 2 minutes. Church 0 for 2 and a walk. And Durbin misses low and in. 2-0. Santos would be next. Mets with 5 runs, 9 hits. The Phillies 4 runs, 7 hits. Church with a cut at the slider, and it's 2-1.
Good slide. What a heck of a ball game this is.
A little bit of everything, right? As Ryan right now is swinging at the pitches out of the strike zone and then taking the ones in the strike zone, just in between for him right now.
Just his second game back from the disabled list. He cracks this one to deep center field. Back goes Victorino, going back. Warning track. That ball is out of here! Into the apple! Home run, Ryan Church! His second home run of the year, his first RBI since April. And he gives the Mets a 6-4 lead.
Well, Jerry Manuel before the game today said with the glut of outfielders his outfielders had to show him something at bat. Ryan Church had to show him something. That's something.
The first guy to hit one into the apple.
3-point play. How come it only counts for 1 run? It should be 3 runs.
In skee ball, that's 50 points.
There you go.
Santos grounds one out to short. Rollins getting in front of it. And the overhand throw gets Santos to end the inning. But the Mets have matched the Phillies in the home run department. 3 home runs aside. Church's first RBI since April 27th. And he takes a chunk out of the big red apple. A walkover in the Toyota text poll.
How many texts were there?
We had 2,000 texts in a 3-minute span.
Wow.
And, everybody says leave him in. And so, Jerry, following along, has left him in.
Well, that's how they make the decisions, right? By our SNY text poll. I don't know if you guys people knew that you had all that responsibility.
Well, Santana now with a bit of a cushion, a 2-run lead in a game that has featured 6 home runs, a Citi Field record. Chase Utley's gone 0 for 3 tonight. Utley has popped up, grounded out, and flied out. Jason Worth and Ryan Howard to follow. Feliciano and Parnell will stay ready in the Mets bullpen in case Santana falters in the 8th. He has started the inning. How much rope does he get? Leadoff hit. Is he out?
I don't think he gets a lot of rope, only because of the home runs given up today as Parnell and Feliciano get ready.
Well, he's given up two home runs each to Howard and Ibanez.
And Rollins as well.
That's right. Excuse me, 3.
Crack to right field, headed toward the corner. Church won't reach this, and it's out of here. Cleared the short fence. Utley with a home run, the 4th of the night for the Phillies. His 13th of the year, and again, this is a 1-run ball game. 6-5 New York. It is a home run festival at Citi Field tonight.
Put the fences back.
Well, 2-0 fastball down in a decent spot, but Utley likes that ball down and hits it at the best place in the ballpark. Down the line, over the short fence, and should have kept the baseball side.
I agree. Don't be a follower.
Howard, Ibanez, Rollins, and Utley have all homered for the Phillies. Wright, Beltran, and Church have homered for the Mets. And I think this is going to be all for Santana. Santos is going out to the mound on instruction from the dugout. Santana doesn't want to leave, but I think he is about to take his exit.
He doesn't want to go.
You know what he wanted? He didn't want Santos to come out there.
But, you know, Santos is getting orders from the skip, and here comes the skip.
That's going to be all for Santana. So Santana experiencing a rough night, and yet he will leave with the lead. And now we'll hand it over to a bullpen, but hand it over reluctantly.
Oh, he's saying, I don't want to go. How about that?
He's very competitive, but
yes,
you also don't want to show up your manager. 6-5 New York in the 8th as the Mets send it to the bullpen. All right, Chris, now Bobby Parnell comes in to face Jason Worth as the Mets nurse a one-run lead in the 8th inning.
Well, Bobby Parnell, of course, has been elevated now with J.J. Putz going under the knife today with surgery on his elbow. Parnell now the 8th inning man.
Well, maybe the 8th inning man for only one bat.
I should say he and Feliciano, especially against the Philadelphia team, will split a lot of the 8th inning.
You got Howard and Ibanez to follow behind Worth, who swings and misses with the high fastball. 95 for Parnell, 1-2.
Well, I'll say one thing for Bobby Parnell, and he is unflappable for someone with limited experience. Just called up last year. Well, he has just been unfazed.
Up the middle on a base hit for Worth, and now the tying run is aboard with Howard coming up. Worth skidding to a stop like he blew a tire there. His second hit of the night. And now it's Feliciano's turn. With Howard and Ibanez due, Jerry Manuel will make the change to Feliciano, who is a front and center competitor in these games against the Phillies with all their left-handed bats. Feliciano's stint begins right here in the 8th inning with the Mets trying to hang on to a 6-5 lead. cash in tickets to the game as the Mets take on their rivals in the city of brotherly love in the Acela Express Ultimate Road Trip Sweepstakes. Check out sny.tv/Acela for more details and enter to win. As the answer to our Aflac trivia question, the 4 players with more than 400 total bases back-to-back years. That's 3 Hall of Famers and Todd Helton.
How about that? I knew Gehrig would be in there.
Now Pedro Feliciano is in there, and he is a very important contributor in these series against the Phils.
But left-handers are only hitting $148 against Pedro Feliciano, but the last 3 seasons he's done an outstanding job against these Phils, but this middle of the order has done damage against him.
Howard, it's a double play ball to Castillo, to Cora, back to first, in time for the double play. 2 out and nobody on. Feliciano throws 1 pitch and gets the 4-6-3. And Worth went in hard on Cora at second.
A ball hit hard, but defended perfectly, and it's tailor-made. You see, Castillo was playing way to the pull. So the scouting report comes through, and there's Feliciano's reaction. Big double play.
You know, the problem with that play that makes it a little more difficult, because Cora's on the right side of second base, when he gets to throw from Castillo, he doesn't have any momentum to come into first base. Has to regroup and put a lot on the throw, which he did. Sean Green up in the bullpen.
Green getting ready in case they get down to the right-hand bats, but now Ibanez with 2 out and nobody on. Ibanez homered against Feliciano earlier this season in Philadelphia, and he's homered tonight, his 20th of the year. Fastball for a strike. Well, this was that home run in Philly.
Oh, that's a hanger. I remember.
And you know, he gave up the home run on the hanging slider. First 2 pitches to Ibanez have been what? 2 fastballs away.
Bouncing ball for Castillo. Feliciano comes in, gets 2 ground balls to produce 3 outs. Big time work by Feliciano to get the Mets through the top of the 8th. 6-5. Baseball on SNY is brought to you by IOTV. Get the best in HD free with IOTV. By Citi, by Firestone, by the United States Postal Service, and by Toyota. Tomorrow at 6:30, the Mets look to stop their surging rivals as Big Pelf takes the hill against the Phillies and the mighty bat of Ryan Howard. Mets-Phillies coverage begins tomorrow at 6:30 only on SNY.
Have we asked if Mike Pelfrey appreciates calling him the Big Pelf?
Was that on the copy?
That's exactly what I was told to read.
Are you kidding?
Big Pelf.
Meanwhile, back from his 50-game suspension, J.C. Romero has rejoined the Phillies bullpen.
And you see doing a lot of the work that he's done the last couple of seasons. He was so instrumental for this team last year during their run during the regular season and also in the playoffs, and always seems to face the Mets when he's on the roster.
Daniel Murphy will pinch hit, leading off in the bottom of the 8th as the Mets again look for insurance. They got it with Church's home run in the 7th, and that canceled out Utley's home run in the 8th. There have been 7 home runs in this game, a Citi Field record. The old record was 5. Also Mets and Phillies in May.
And you can't say this is a hot, humid night.
And Murphy takes a fastball for a strike. Daniel's done a great job pinch hitting. He's up there against the lefty because the Mets only have one righty bat on the bench, and that's the late-hitting Wilson Valdez. So Feliciano with tremendous work. 4 pitches, gets 3 outs. Against the 2 big lefty bats of Howard and Ibanez. Murphy's hitting just .247 overall, but .357 as a pinch hitter as K-Rod gets ready. Looking for his 16th save without a flaw. He's doing for the Mets what Lidge did last year for the Phillies.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jammed him and he fouls at 1 and 2.
It's very interesting, isn't it, how the tables have turned. Lidge with his 7 blown saves, 6 blown saves. And of course, K-Rod being perfect. If he had not been perfect and Lidge had been perfect this season, the Mets might be 10 or 11 games out of first place.
It's a great point.
If, ands, and buts.
Absolutely.
Candies and nuts. 1-2. Murphy takes inside. In the 9th inning, K-Rod will have 6, 7, and 8 in the order. Rollins, Phillies, and Ruiz. And don't forget, you got the 2 big left-handed bats sitting on the bench for the Phils in Doms and Stairs. 2-2 to Murphy. Struck him out. Came inside. Good pitch by Romero to get Murphy for the first down.
Well, that fastball's running in like that with 2 strikes on a hitter is murder.
By the way, the 4 home runs allowed by Johan Santana tonight, only the 2nd time in his career he's given up 4 home runs in a game. In Toronto in 2007, he allowed 4 home runs in a game and matched tonight, and yet he's got a chance to win the game. Here's Castillo. Takes a changeup outside.
And in 2007 was the year that he led baseball in home runs allowed, 33 that season.
Castillo's gone 0 for 4 tonight. And Louis scorches one foul, 1-1.
Well, the Mets over the last 2 years have picked up 2 pitchers. Remember, the talk was that Santana might be ebbing a little bit in his career. Well, that wasn't true. And Frankie Rodriguez. I mean, the Angels thought that maybe he had lost something. Well, he's been picture perfect.
One to Castillo. And a fastball strike. Boy, Romero looks like he has not missed a beat after missing the first nearly 2 months of the season.
May I add something? Lance Barksdale behind the plate has called a heck of a ball game tonight.
He missed a call on a tag at the plate, but his ball strikes have been good. In the dirt, 2-2. Jay Happ, the Phillies starter, went 5 1/3, allowed 4 runs and 6 hits. Clay Condrey right now is pitcher of record on the short side, 2/3 of an inning, 1 run, 3 hits, and then Chad Durbin gave up the Church home run in the 7th. Two to Castillo. Lifted and foul ground. Howard getting over. 2 out. Here's your high-speed pitch brought to you by AT&T. The starters, Santana topped out at 92 tonight and Happ at 90.
Well, you know, it's interesting. I think it should bear mention. We talked a lot early in the season that Johan was getting no support with runs here. You know, had a tough game, wasn't at his best, and his team has picked him up with the 6 runs and the 4 home runs.
Here's Cora, who's had 2 hits tonight, a single and a double, and he's driven in a run. Ronnie, Santana has now given up 3 or more runs in 5 consecutive starts. It's only the second time in his career that's happened. Is it a cause for concern right now?
I don't think it's a cause for concern. I think when he goes back and takes a look at his start, and we talked about it a little today, the Philadelphia Phillies were very aggressive. Threw a couple of balls in the strike zone where he didn't want to. The 0-2 pitch really to Ibanez that he wanted to throw higher and just missed. So a couple of technical glitches, a couple of mistakes by Johan. Listen, he wasn't going to have an 0.75 ERA all season, so there's a little kind of correction, and that's what's happened. But he'll correct it. He'll be back on time again.
And I tell you what, no one's left this ballpark. It is full.
That ERA, by the way, now at 2.39. That's not bad.
Well, that's what he was last year, right? 2.53 or so.
Cora breaks his bat and lines to Rollins. That ends the inning. And so it's a 1-run lead that'll be handed to Frankie Rodriguez for the 9th inning. Rollins, Phillies, and Ruiz coming up with the Mets up 6-5. Better than to be a closer and hear 40,000 people screaming for you as you come in for the bullpen. Frankie Rodriguez knows what that's like.
Different mentality. Even when I throw the last pitch in the bullpen, everything's it's like you turn the switch on. It's totally different. I don't know how to describe it. How competitive and how much adrenaline did I get in on my body. So as soon as I cross that gate and I started running to the mound, it's different mentality. I just, I got one goal in mind, just trying to put 3 zeros on the board.
He's a very low-key guy in real life, but when he takes the mound, Frankie Rodriguez is a killer.
A lot of pitchers have that Jekyll and Hyde personality. Certainly does Francisco Rodriguez. Perfect 15 for 15. That's a Mets record to start their career. Old record by, of all people, Anthony Young with 12 for 12.
Jimmy Rollins leads off in the 9th inning. Rollins homered his last time up, and he takes the curveball for ball 1. Jeremy Reed in to play left field for a defense in the 9th inning. Rollins' 2-run homer in the 6th inning gave the Phillies a brief lead. He hit that batting right-handed, now batting left. 1-1 to Rollins with Phillies and Ruiz, 2 right-hand hitters to follow. And Rollins swings and fouls it back, 1-2. Don't forget, right after Ron Keith and I are done here, keep it tuned for Chris Carlin, Bobby Ojeda, and Darryl Strawberry. Lincoln Mercury post-game live. We'll hear from Johan Santana, who struggled tonight but has a chance to win. Clearly not happy to be taken out of the game in the 8th inning. David Wright breaking his home run drought. Mets hitting 3 home runs tonight. The Phillies hitting 4. We'll have all the interviews and everything else at Lincoln Mercury post-game live. 1-2 to Rollins. Just missed inside with a fastball. 95 from K-Rod. We haven't seen a lot of that.
And there's a very dangerous bat right there lurking.
Maybe he's going to bat for Ruiz. full count to Rollins. In a one-run game, K-Rod knows he can ill afford to walk Rollins leading off, especially with the power bat of Stairs looming.
Phillies on deck, but don't forget about Matt Stairs, who spent most of his career in the American League. Of course, has seen Francisco Rodriguez over numerous at-bats.
Although he's 0 for 7 against K-Rod.
Well, they've got two left-handed bats, Greg Dobbs and Stairs.
3-2 to Rollins. Line right field, base hit, and the Phillies have the tying run aboard in the 9th inning. So Rollins, who had been struggling so mightily, comes back to Flushing, and he's got himself a 3-hit night.
Well, he just seems to thrive and just perform here against the Mets, particularly here.
He thrives on the boos. I mean, he's booed every time he gets up to the bat, but turns it on a notch when he plays against the Mets.
How are you playing this if you're the Phils?
Oh, I let Phillies swing the bat. You play you play for the tie at home, and you play for the win on the road. I let him swing the bat. He's been hot.
You looking for Rollins to run?
I think Rollins can run here because of K-Rod throwing a lot of those sliders and changeups, usually in the dirt, make it tough for Santos.
And now, as a hitter, you might get a fastball here, Gare, because you're less inclined to throw the changeup with a speedy Rollins on first.
There have been 2 stolen bases against K-Rod this year in 3 tries. Phillies lays off 1-0. Now the Phillies, especially early this year, specialized in comeback victories. Greg Dobbs behind Stairs, 18 comeback wins already this year. But if they do it against this guy, they'll be the first to do it. 1-0 to Phillies. And he lays off the breaking ball, and it's 2-0.
Well, this is a Philly team that is also, Gary, 21-8 on the road.
Going back to those stolen bases, they are the best in the National League, over 80%, and they're 22 of their last 24 are the Phillies in stolen base attempts.
Well, Rollins has 10 of those this year. Now behind 2-0. And the curveball for a strike. He is unafraid to throw that pitch behind the count.
You know, as a hitter, you're 2-0. You're not swinging at that curveball.
Now, Rollins has been caught more this year than he was all of last season, which is part of his difficulty this year. 2-1 now to Phillies. Bounce foul. 2-2.
Oh, we got a hanger here, but out in front.
Rollins feigned that last pitch, attempting to steal second base. He's trying to get a read on K-Rod.
And he was moving back to the bag before Frankie even turned.
What does that tell you? He's got a good read on Francisco Rodriguez already.
Struck him out. One out of the ninth.
That was a good slide right there after hanging one. Watch this one. Break. Oh, more like a cutter.
Yep.
Outside of Phillies.
And a strike. Very Mario Rivano. I'm sorry, Mariano Rivera. What was I thinking? I'm thinking of Carl Pavano. I got Carl Pavano on the brain.
Why?
I don't understand. It's been a long night.
So now Matt Stairs. Look at those numbers on the year for the veteran Stairs, 41 years old. 8 for 21 with 3 pinch hit home runs. Tying run at first, 1 out.
Get a ground ball here. A good guy for a double play.
The problem with a guy like Stairs, veteran hitter like he is as a pinch hitter, he will sometimes sit on a pitch. and decide that, you know what, I think this is how he's going to go after me. He might sit on a changeup first pitch, or might sit on a slider. Good move there by Francisco.
Stairs 0 for 7 in his career against K-Rod. Greg Dobbs on deck to bat for the pitcher. Stairs is batting for the catcher, Ruiz. Ball 1.
Well, you can see right now the attack on Stairs is going to be away. You want to try to hit a home run? We'll try to pull that out of this big ballpark.
You know, it looked like a strike when I first saw it, but that was a ball. Good call by Barksdale.
Calm down, Ronnie.
Yep. Well, you know, the former pitcher comes out.
Rollins with another half step on the lead. Not going. And that's on the corner for a strike. 1-1. Well, you're pitching him away, but Wright is playing about 30 feet off the line at third base.
Now, Stairs has one thing in mind right now, Gary, for 2 strikes. He's up there to try to get something, and he can get the barrel on and pull and try to hit it out, if not into the gap. That's a big lead.
1-1 to Stairs, and the changeup taken high. 2-1.
And I agree in not sending Rollins here until you get 3-2, maybe 3-1, because you want to leave that hole open between first and second. Ground ball into right field right in here. Well, that's first and third with Rollins' speed.
Santos calls for the throw over.
What a great ball game. Why can't they all be like this, Gary?
Really, you like big home run games?
No,
we'll be at Yankee Stadium over the weekend.
We'll take a peek here.
Slide step, changeup.
Stairs swings and misses. 2-2.
It's a good swing on that changeup, just in a good spot.
Out of the strike zone.
Bottom dropping out.
Yes, sir.
This is as loud as we have heard Citi Field since it opened.
Slide step again, and Santos with the call. Change up, double it up.
Ground ball might be 2. Castillo to Cora, upended and safe at first. A great takeout slide by Jimmy Rollins keeps the Phillies alive.
Wow, that's how the game should be played. This is no, I'll take you out to dinner slide right there. It's perfectly clean.
This is hard-nosed baseball, especially what you expect against these two teams.
Without that slide, the Mets are shaking hands. With that slide, the Phillies are still breathing. That's just a great play that will never appear in any box score. And Cora knows that as well as anybody. So now Greg Dobbs will get an opportunity. Stairs, a very slow runner, now the tying run at first. Swing and a miss. 0-1.
Interesting swing, Keith, on a slider first pitch. Got to be careful down and into Dobbs.
Dobbs had a huge year last year as a pinch hitter, just 4 for 27 as a pinch hitter this year. Change up on strike. just missed. 1-2 to Dom.
Well, everybody getting their money's worth on this one.
Victorino hoping for a turn on deck. Santana